What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yeah, the 31 Days of Horror Volume Deuce is back. That's right, this is going to be the second year that I've done 31 Days of Horror. If you're not familiar with what the 31 Days of Horror is, it's basically just where you review a film for each day of October, in which there's 31 days, so hence 31 reviews. But yeah. So I originally wasn't going to participate in the 31 Days of Horror this year because I'm actually going to be out of town for about 5 days in this month, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of pre-recording and things like that. And my schedule's different this year, so I thought it was going to be a little inconvenient or even hard to do because I had a pretty easy time doing it last year. But with that said, I decided that I'm going to follow through and try it again. So yeah, with that said, first film for the 31 Days of Horror Volume 2 is going to be coming straight from 2008 from my boy Brian Pollin, and it is called Fetus. Yes, the infamous Fetus. Now look at that cover art right there. If you can make out what that image is, that's actually an image from the film, so you know what you're getting yourself into, especially if you're familiar with Brian Pollin films. I have actually reviewed one of his older films called Bone Sickness, so if you're familiar with that film, you know what you're getting yourself into with his later work too. Basically, the synopsis of this film is Brian Pollin stars in this film as Kevin. Basically what happens is Kevin loses his wife and his baby at birth. The baby dies, she dies. He goes into this Great Depression and he doesn't really know what to do with himself, and all he wants to do is bring back his wife and his child. So he goes down to his local kind of witchcraft store, whatever you want to call it, black magic, and he gets a book on necromancy where he proceeds to basically do anything in his willpower to bring back his wife and his child. And yeah, that's the story right there. Now, my thoughts on this film. Wow, man, if you are familiar with, like I said, Brian Pollin's films, you know you're getting yourself into a really bloody, gory, just mess of a film. It's just crazy, crazy stuff. Yeah, this one really kind of surprised me. It runs about 75 minutes, and unlike Bone Sickness, this one has a lot better pacing to the film. It gets right into the meat and potatoes of this film quite fast. It gives your story, and then it just gets right into the blood and gore. And I mean, we're talking like 70 minutes of straight blood and gore, breaking taboos, just vicious, nasty insanity. So much decrepit imagery in this film. It's almost enough to make you gag. There's a couple times in this film where I even kind of like, oh, damn, and, you kind of feel, for your penis and in women's vaginas, and, I'm kind of giving you a pretty big picture, a good picture of what you're expected to see in this film. But yeah, it's a pretty, basic type story that Pollin kind of follows through with it, man. He just holds no bars at all in this one. It involves, like I said, necromancy. It's got necrophilia in it. It's got demons, just a shit ton of blood and gore. And one thing that Brian Pollin does really well in his films is blood and gore. I have to say, the gore in this film is just fantastic. It looks really damn good. One of the first gore scenes in the film is him basically cutting into the back of this guy's neck with like an X-Acto knife, and it's just vicious. It looks so damn real. I'm not going to give away a lot of the scenes, but there's a scene involving something shooting out of a chick's vagina that actually made me gag. Just the way the scene happened and stuff, it was quite shocking to see it. And also a chick shooting herself in the pussy with a gun. That was pretty vicious, but all this blood and gore and just this nastiness kind of leads up to this almost hilarious kind of ending to the film. There's one part in the ending of this film that really kind of made me laugh out loud. But at the same time, I'm going, damn, this is just vicious, vicious blood and stuff. But I have to say, man, for Brian Pollin, being such a low-budget filmmaker, shot on video, this is one of the better looking shot on videos. I think I said that about Bone Sickness too. It looks really good. It honestly does. It's actually to the point where I'm not even 100% sure it was shot on video. No, I'm pretty sure it was shot on video, but it looks really damn good. He put so much heart and soul into these effects. It's just, it's insane the final product with this. And an interesting fact about this film is that Brian Paulen actually had his house broken into during the production of this film, and the thieves actually stole a bunch of equipment, including one of the cameras used in this film, which had footage still in the camera. Now, my only question is, I wondered if those guys actually watched some of that footage. They probably thought they broke into a serial killer's house, for fuck's sakes. But yeah, really, really nasty, gritty ass film. I have to say, man, this film right here, you know, the story's so basically relies mostly on atmosphere and just the depictions of the scenes. You know, the imagery involved in this is just, it's enough to suck you right in. You can't look away, even though you probably want to, based on how nasty this is. But I was really surprised at the atmosphere. And one thing about this film that blew my mind was the sound design. For shot on video film, this probably has to have the best sound I've ever seen in a shot on video film. Now, I got a pretty good home stereo behind me, so if you have a good one, check this out. You might be blown away by the sound too. It was really quite amazing. It kept me right in. The music was really good too. It fit very well in the film. I love these isolated, contained horror films. And it's a very interesting film because there's not a lot of characters in this one, so there isn't a lot of dialogue either. It really does revolve, or, you know, it really is about just the imagery and the setup and stuff to it, the isolation and shit like that. It's really nasty. I really like the effects, and I got to give it up to Brian Paulen for, you know, how much heart and soul he put into this, especially after having his shit stolen. Production was delayed 5 months, and it feels kind of flawless. You know, it doesn't really seem like there's, you know, kind of breaks in the film and stuff, which is very cool to see. But yeah, you know, with that said, not really a whole lot more to say. This is one of those films I'm going to rate on my shot on video kind of scale, because I give those films a different scale because they're shot on video. They're super micro, low budget. Even though Paulen manages to pull off effects in here that I'm just like, damn, dude, like, those are, I don't know how he did them and shit like that, but I mean, they probably had to cost maybe a little bit, but who really knows? I don't know much about effects in films and what it costs and things like that. So, but I highly recommend Fetus. If you're a big fan of Brian Paulen, if you like Bone Sickness, you're gonna fucking love this film. If you're a fan of German splatter like Olaf Ittenbach, if you like Olaf Ittenbach films, you're gonna love Fetus. It's really, really nasty, and I have to say, there is some parts in this with fetuses that I'm just like, whoo, shit, that is brutal. Absolutely brutal. And that's probably the one word, the greatest adjective to describe this film is brutal. It's nasty. So with that said, I'm going to give this one about an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. The pacing was really good. Didn't overstay his welcome with the 75 minutes. So big ups to Brian Paulen with Fetus. And yeah, check this out if you can find this. You can get this on Morbid Vision's website. I believe it's like $20 or something like that. But well worth the money if you're a fan of this type of stuff. If you're just kind of a casual horror fan, I would probably stay clear of this because it might even offend you to the point where it's like, it's gory. I mean, if you like your gore films, this is on a different level, I will warn you. Yeah, check it out, guys. That is going to conclude day 1 here on the 31 Days of Horror, the sequel, or volume 2, whatever you want to call it. And as usual, guys, I'll check you tomorrow, and peace!